And also, I'm going to be distributing a form of a business plan, and on page 17, I think it has more of my background. I've started hundreds of companies. I've helped many people start companies, Christians around the world. I speak at biblical business conferences around the world. But mostly I like to do what I'm going to share with you and try to help you. But before I get started, frequently I'll talk about patents, trademarks, and copyrights. If you've had a chance to look inside my book, there's 2 or 3 chapters, and so I'm going to give you a little quiz. This is unofficial. You don't get graded on it. And then whoever answers the most correct questions gets a prize. So first question is, how long is a copyright good for? How long?
10 years.
We have 10 years. Somebody else? 17? Yes?
100 years.
Well, one of the correct answers is 100 years. The rule of thumb is the life of the author plus 70 years. So if you're going to write something or write software, or there's a lot of things you can get a copyright on, like a book or whatever you write. Suggestion is do it with one of your children or grandchildren, because the co-author's life plus 70 years. But there is, if you stay anonymous, one of the caveats is 100 years. So we'll give him a point on that. What will a copyright cost you?
$30.
2 correct answers. It's both free, and if you file with Washington, it's $30. So if you just remember this, whenever you're writing something, just put the little c with parentheses, copyright 2011, put your name, all rights reserved, and you've said to the world that you're protecting what you've just written or recorded or code you've written. So copyrights are the most brilliant. You cover 97% of the world for no dollars.
Wow.
But you can spend 30 and file it with Washington, D.C., and it's official. So copyrights are a tremendous bargain.
So simply just the C with the parentheses, the year, and your name.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to pass around a form of a business plan we've used to raise a couple $1 million. And you're going to see how we put the copyright notice if you just pass that around. How long is a trademark good for?
40 years?
We have 40.
Forever.
Correct answer is forever. Think of Coca-Cola. Think of things that were invented 120 years ago. And also think of a corporation as legally having a life, which it does. A corporation is a person. So unless you have a limited liability company that has to expire on a certain date, if you have a corporation, that trademark can last forever. So good, that was a very good answer. What will a trademark cost you in the U.S.? Any idea?
Well, that depends whether you're trademarking it with the state or trying to get a trademark for the whole nation.
Okay, say for the whole nation.
Well, that's a little more. I think that's about 150.
It was a good distinction, because there's a particular state, like you could trademark something in California or Nevada. You could do it for the nation. We normally think of the nation, and then there's also, I have a question on international. For the nation, it's $340, and you can do it through LegalZoom. I like to try doing it myself, and my last one amazingly went through. I put in my wife's name and sold it. Somebody called me and said, "Would you like to sell it?" We said, "Yep, we'll take the cash." And so $340 for the country, and how much globally? Any idea globally? That's a tough one. The publisher didn't even put it in the book. Correct answer is a couple $100 to tell the world the U.S. Patent Office and Trademark Office will certify your application. Then there's something called the Madrid Protocol, which tells, there's a list of the countries in the back, many, many countries, that it's a trademark. And then I think it depends on each country. So typically we were rolling out, I don't know if you remember a TV show, 30-minute show, Al Unser Sr. drives the Red Viper with no motor oil. That was my product. Every time we would roll out to a country, talk about distribution, we would make sure that our trademark was in force. So you can spend a lot, it depends, but you don't have to spend a lot. How long is a patent good for? That's what one of the first answers was
40
thinking.
years with that?
Somebody said 40, somebody earlier said 17, right? Correct, rule of thumb is 20 years. 20 years, and the idea is that it fosters innovation, but at the end it goes for the public good. What will a patent cost you in the U.S.?
There's two kinds. I think your first level is about 15,000, and do they call that a provisional patent? And then there's another one that's more complicated.
There's, actually, I've done provisionals for $105, $110. Provisional is a great value, $110. You protect your idea for 1 year, and then during that year, there's all kinds of books, how to make $1 million from your idea or your product. You can license it or sell it and let them pay the real patent costs. So provisional is a great value at $110. Yeah, then you can say, and the beauty of that is you can say patent pending. So for $110, you tell the world patent pending, it scares them. Then, like my last patent, will cost us $7,000 or $8,000 for the U.S. Now that seems like a lot of money, but you get 20 years of protection.
What's that called? Does it have a certain name?
Well,
Provisional
it's,
was the first one?
yeah, there's a
Or just the patent?
term, it's in the book.
Oh.
I was going to say the service mark is a pretty good deal too. If you haven't filed a trademark and you're still trying to get the time in and everything together to do that, you can just service mark it for free.
Yep.
I understand.
Right.
What's the one with the TM?
TM is trademark.
Is that, okay.
We covered that. TM says that you intend to protect it, and then the R means that you succeeded in protecting it.
Registered.
Yeah. All of this stuff is public information, www.uspto.gov. Spend a little time on the site and
Repeat that again for me?
www.uspto, stands for U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, .gov.
Thank you.
It's a great site. Great site. Last question. Well, before. You know the difference between intellectual property and real property? This desk would be real property. The great thing about intellectual property, and it's what's been the subject of most of my books, in the King James Version it says, Proverbs chapter 8, wisdom, I wisdom dwell with knowledge and give, basically wisdom gives us witty inventions in the King James. The other versions I don't think do justice to it. But here's the idea. God gives ideas into our intellect that we can then turn into assets. Ultimate goal, to bless the world, Great Commission. So intellectual property is ideas that God gives us that we turn into assets. And so I love intellectual property. And last question is, if you have a U.S. patent and you want to take it around the world, what will it cost you? So you spend $7,000, you get your patent in 3 years. What will it cost you to take it around the world?
Country by country, is it?
Country by country. Say you want to hit the major industrialized countries. Simple answer, about $150,000 paid over 30 months. Not cheap. Let your foreign distributors help you or get a partner. It's not cheap, but potentially can be valuable. So now we want to talk about business plan. And as you're passing this around, purpose of a good business plan. There's many good purposes. I'm going to list 3. A good business plan makes the founders think through their anticipated business model and makes management think strategically, tactically, and through many details and timing. So an average person like you or I, we're going to get excited about an idea. But then the question is, how are you going to make money with it? How are you going to turn it into a business? Now, you don't have to turn it into a business. You can license it, as we talked about. $110 for your provisional patent. Maybe you get an idea for a trademark. You spend $340. So now you're into it $500. Maybe you want to license a company. Find the 3 or 4 largest companies in that niche. See if they want to license it. There's great little books on, mostly they're called How to Make $1 Million with Your Product or Your Idea. And there's 3 or 4 good ones. I wish I'd have written them. But they're really good and tell you how to do it. And 1 year is enough time to find out if you can make money at it. So,
What, can you define license?
a license is somebody paying you for the right to use your invention or your trademark. It's somebody paying you to use your intellectual property so that they can make money.
Is that just for a certain period of time?
Yes, it's for a defined period of time. A license agreement has only 3 or 4 moving parts. Length of time, what is the upfront fee, what's the ongoing royalty, that's the term royalty. Typically not more than 2 or 3% of sales. Inventors always think it's 10%, but it's rarely in real business worth more than 2 or 3%. And one other thing, territory, I think. So a license is giving somebody else the right to make money with it. So, but a lot of people, there's a great little book, a guy who invents toys, makes a couple $100,000 a year. He simply thinks of the idea, makes a prototype, and licenses it to toy companies. He makes lots of money. So, a successful business plan will turn into a private placement memorandum that raises the required capital to start and grow the business. So that's what this is. That's what I'm passing around the room, and so you can leverage that. And yes.
Could you please offer some tips as to how to hone in your elevator pitch? I think that's.
Oh, well, I would start by try to say in one sentence what it is you do. And then you might find I need a second sentence, and then ask your friends what's unique about your business, and maybe that's a third sentence. But you're looking for example, I was very privileged. I got I got a Thrivent scholarship to Harvard. So I got to go to Harvard. So and they were very generous with me. And so then after I got out, I did 10 years of interviewing. So every applicant to Harvard-Radcliffe gets an interview with an alumni. So we describe every applicant with 3 adjectives. So no matter who you are, we boil you down to 3 adjectives. That's kind of what an elevator pitch is. You're trying to think, what is it that makes you unique? And so that's a fun exercise. It's fun to sit around with your friends and family and say, let's just, only in positive terms, but what makes you unique? But to me, branding is your name, it's your logo, it's an 800 type number that's easy to remember. It's a great website address. It's a good looking website. It's all of that. And so I think you can tell a lot of what I do, it's about color. When I do an Excel spreadsheet, I use a lot of color. There's black and white, but then an Excel, a spreadsheet that has color really gets, you can draw their attention to you can get them to avoid the stuff you don't want them to see. and you can draw their attention to what they're supposed to look at. Yes?
So all the companies, I kind of got the impression that, the ones that you had the problems with, they had weak financials. But in all these companies that you're looking at, what would you say the most telling element of success was in their business? I know that's kind of a nebulous question, but financial statements, I think, is what you said, was pretty strong as far as having a viable, truthful financial statement. But when you look at a business, and all these businesses that you've grown over the years, what do you think is the most key element to success?
Well, I think you need hardworking, savvy managers, and you need something that really meets a need. So what separates business plans, just ideas, from those that make it? I think you're gonna touch on that next week with market research, but you may think that you've branded yourself the right way, but until you go out and test it, you won't know. And so it's getting past the theoretical and actually, testing it. And so like with our machines, yes, we've only made 1 sale, but we've put machines out. We've put out what we call beta sites. You can do it with software, you can do it with equipment, but you put it out on a beta site and you get the customer's feedback. They like this, they don't like this. And so we change some things and we make it cheaper and we make it better and we make it faster. So you can only theorize so far, and then you've got to take it out and get some real life feedback.
So that market research can even change your branding.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is, yeah. Forms, all kinds of, you have all these ways of getting, there's even websites where people try to help you solve problems and engineering problems and business problems. But LinkedIn's a good one for business questions, because you get points for answering other people's questions, and you can become an expert on certain subjects, which we're all experts at something. Yes?
When you pitch to investors, do you take them out to lunch? So what kind of restaurant do you take them to? Or how do you
Yard House.
Yeah.
We've done well at the Yard House, yeah, because you can sit outside and it's good for vegetarians.
We just had Steele in last week.
I prefer not to do lunch because it's not cheap and it takes a lot of extra time. Actually, what I like to do is I like to hire somebody if you looked at exhibits 1 and 3, it says that we can pay X% to somebody for making the telephone calls and so on and so forth. So I like to hire a professional and just pay them a percentage. And I think the law is 12%, but then you can pay for marketing materials and other things. So that's just the way I like to do it. But I've made hundreds of presentations, And so one great way is you just email your materials and say, if you need some more information to make an educated decision, please just let me know. So there's no pressure. It's just, does this fit what you're looking to do? And 1 in 3 or 1 in 7 will like. Go ahead.
And just on the accounting side, when you do get investment money, do you book it straight into asset or is it just book it as income?
Oh, it's an asset.
Okay.
What you're doing is, go back, you're going to debit cash, and then you're going to credit your owner's equity section. And then there's rules for how so it's the old, you book it at par value, and then the excess goes into surplus or whatever. But yeah, it's a debit. It's all balance sheet. You're
Right, so it doesn't go into the
No.
income statement at all?
no, it's all balance sheet.
What-
Yes.
You talk about meeting needs. Can you speak about creating a need?
Yes, you can awaken needs, or you can, I don't have any good examples, but you can help solve a problem that people really didn't know was there.
Yeah.
But a lot of great products and services are created because people personally come up against a challenge, and then they create a product or service to meet it, and then they find, oh, other people had the same.
Other people need the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so we add air to concrete, which professionals do every day of the week, but homeowners don't. So we're talking with one of the biggest ready-mix firms in the world, and their quality control guy says, when your bubbles, when your foam collapses, it produces liquid. We know. He said, yeah. He says, do you know when you put that into a cement mixer, it has the same effect as your foam? I said, no. Well, we pretended like we knew. I wouldn't say we lied, we just pretended. And, but we got off the phone and we said, we're going to test this, because now we have a product we can put on the shelves at Home Depot and Lowe's. So we created a C Corp, which we're auditing to take public, because I've done the consumer products before with the engine additive. So we're creating a niche where the consumer wants to add some air to their concrete, they just don't know anything about it. So we have to educate them, and if we do a good job of educating them, some portion will want to add air. Because we have to, and we're paying some people to tell us what is that benefit statement that we can communicate in 30 seconds. Because we're not very good at doing that.
That's in the mixing stage.
Yeah.
Have-
Yes.
I just have to ask, what does air added to concrete do?
It makes it lighter, makes it cheaper, makes it more environmentally friendly, makes it easier to work with, and in a cold climate, it'll keep concrete from what's called freeze-thaw damage. If you've been in cold, the ice-cold rain soaks into the concrete, freezes, cracks a little, expands, thaws. You repeat that 500 times, and most concrete then roads, and it's called freeze-thaw damage. You have 98% less freeze-thaw damage when you add air. We just happen to have the best air.
So you're selling air, basically.
We're selling air, yeah.
Wow,
Or
that's good.
stable air.
What about on the opposite end with this, the extreme heat? What does it give?
It does very well, because if you have a cement truck, and we had the hottest day of the year last year, we had a cement truck turning in our backyard, and normally all the water evaporates and the driver has to keep adding water. Our product, we don't know why it does it, but it didn't change for 2 hours. So it's very good in extreme temperatures.
It's stable.
It's stable, yeah.
So Dubai would be the market.
To summarize, I'll get to you in just a second. Mostly what I do is I'm looking for the unique value proposition, what's the intellectual property that's going to protect us and make us unique. I'm branding us, putting together a management team, raising some money, and trying to look at the business model, what is it going to take to get it to the marketplace and make money for our investors. That's basically what I do. And then once it's on a track and we've got good people, then I move on to the next thing. Yes?
So why isn't it caught on? It seems like it's a good idea, but is it the cost? Is that what's, on a volume base, like on a cement truck?
The cost of the machine, when we got involved 2 years ago, the machine cost $35,000. And it's taken us 2 years to get it down to about $1,000. So mostly we were doing R&D, we were doing re-engineering. Because the marketplace was telling us, we like what you do, but we're not going to pay you $35,000 for a machine.
Not even the big companies, like, Ready Mix and those big guys?
No, they're the worst. They're the ones who want you to give the machine free, and they'll pay you for the chemicals.
But it seems like it would save them money, though.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they?
Because most of them have, if you study the large concrete companies, they've really been hurt. They expanded too fast, they used too much debt, and they got killed in 2008. So many of them are just barely, yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.